Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to session 4 of the What to Expect from Entrepreneurs training. Super excited you guys are here tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to come learn and continue to grow on this amazing journey that we've had for the past 4 weeks. So as you hop on, if you can just type in the chat box your name, that you're here, say something, hi, whatever it is, just so I know you're here and everyone can just kind of chat. I'll give everybody a few seconds to kind of hop on and then we will get started. So I'm honoring your time because I know it's busy time of night and I know we have a lot going on. So yeah, so just say hi in the chat box. What's up, Chelsea? Hello, hello. How was Disney? And also just let me know that you can see me and hear everything is good. Just let me know you can see the slides, you can hear me. Of course you can hear me because you're saying hi. But yeah, just make sure everything's good on the technology end. What's up, Candace and Carly? Oh, look, all C's, how cute. Yeah, hi Gretchen, hi Kristen, yes, thank you very much. And Sarah, hello. I love how your name is all capitals all the time, that's so fun. So tonight we're going to dig into some mindset stuff. So the title is kind of the when, because we've been doing kind of the who and the why and the what. And so tonight we're going to talk about the when, because I think this is a valid question, is like, when should I do this, right? So we're all here because we want to do it, but then it's like, when should I do it, right? And the first thing that pops into our head is all these feelings of, we're not good enough, and if we have a baby, and you know, because there's never really a right time, and that's kind of the truth. There never really is a right time. Like there's never going to be like light flashes that tell you like it's time to start a business. You actually kind of just have to do it, right? And kind of like the quote that I posted in the group by Mark Manson is like, you kind of have to just do it and not be very good at it, and then like you get better, right? So there's just never like a perfect time. But we're going to go over a lot of the, what I call like the success mindset that's absolutely so necessary for becoming an entrepreneur, because it's the stuff that you face every single day. And I can tell you guys, facing it alone is absolutely kind of brutal, because you're sitting by yourself and you have all these feelings and you have no one to talk to about it, because you don't really have a lot of like business friends, right? So that's kind of the beauty of Business Beyond Babies. Like something's not working or whatever. Like one of the girls is in the middle of a launch right now and Facebook just like blocked her entirely. And she's like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, we're hashing out things, but it's just so nice to have that support system. Not only me as the coach who's kind of been there, done that, but all of the other girls who are just like holding your hand and helping you through, because let's just be real, like our husbands, they're great. They want to hear about it, but they don't always like really know. And sometimes they're just not the people we want to talk to. So I love that you guys are here. And one of the things I asked you to do last week was to start talking to people about your business. So like just mentioning to people that you are going to start an online business, kind of feeling out your I teach statement, talking to husbands about this kind of stuff. So would love to hear, or just, you know, jot down in the chat box, what is something that happened from that? Like, how did that feel? Like 1 or 2 words, how that felt when you actually said to someone like, oh my gosh, like I'm starting my own online business, it's going to be amazing. How did that feel to you when you said that and you kind of came out with whatever it is, like that you're actually doing it, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight too. So any like kind of aha feelings from actually saying it out loud and being real and truthful, not only with yourself, but with someone else, maybe who's close to you, a friend, family member, husband. And if you didn't get around to doing it, totally fine. You have this week to do that. Scary and freeing at the same time. Yeah, because it's really scary, because you're like, oh my gosh, like I just said that out loud. Oh my God, but I don't know what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. But then finally you're like, oh my gosh, it feels so good to just like be honest with myself and everyone else and just say, oh my gosh, like I'm just doing it. I'm so doing it, right? Yes, uncertain, exciting. Yeah. Like that, right? And that's so cool when people are excited for you, because they're like, it just gives you like more confidence that like, oh my gosh, like I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do it. Like it's really gonna happen, which is so freaking cool. So I love it. So so let's get started. So tonight we're gonna talk about why we're here. So remember, we're here because we want to create a passion-based business We're here to create something that you actually love, so you actually like what you're doing, to create a business that gives you freedom. Oh, how funny. That's so funny, Sarah. I love when the husbands are like, okay, I'm just going to start figuring out for you. To create a business that gives you freedom while filling your cup, right? So filling what's inside of you as a woman, not as a mom and not as a wife, but actually as you, as Sarah, as Candace, as Dawn, it's something that's fulfilling to you in your heart, to become successful, of course, to understand the systems, to create a successful online business, and to create what I call a business beyond baby. A passion-based business that actually recharges you, right? That gets you excited and lights you up. And we know that, your message and your voice must be authentic. So we know that we have to show up real. We have to be relatable. We know we have to have an emotional lifestyle and service why to drive your business. So we know that those things have to be in place before we start selling a product. We know we have to have that big why. We know that the 3 P's of this business are purpose, people, and problems, right? So we've got to know our purpose, we have to know our people, and we have to solve a problem. At the end of the day, we have to solve a problem. That we could have the best of everything, but if we're not solving a problem, then it doesn't really matter, right? So we know that we must create content consistently on our website. We talked about this last week through email marketing and through social media. So loving all of your homework, sitting down and talking about how you give value, and talking about your knowables and your quirks and your 3 to 5 things, and the 5 people who you look up to in the online space. That stuff is so important, and I think it's so amazing to see all of that. Remember, it's action. You are taking action by sitting down, thinking about this stuff, doing your homework. You are taking action, right? And it doesn't matter if it's right. It's action, it's doing something. And so what we need to remember is that nothing needs to be right now. We need to just do. At this point, we just have to do, and then everything else will start to kind of fall into place, but we actually have to just do it. Awesome, so cool, Melanie, awesome. So what else do we know? We know that content must tell a story, right? So we talked about that on social media, that we have to tell a story. The more you give away, the more they trust you, right? Knowing what you stand for allows you to create content with your unique voice. We have to move from consumer to creator. So we talked about kind of like deleting people, random people that we're following, or people that aren't really serving us. We got to get out of that whole like, oh my God, but they're doing it better, right? And we have to sit down and actually create something. In order to create remarkable content, we have to think harder. We talked about thinking laterally. We talked about debunking myths. We talked about using our experiences to create content, which is thinking harder. And we talked about taking action will always trump thinking too hard. So many times we sit and we think about all of this stuff, and then we never do, right? Because we get completely paralyzed. It's like paralysis analysis of, oh my God, like I don't really know. Right, we don't know. You're not supposed to know yet, right? So everything that we're going to cover in the next 10 months is not going to be stuff you're going to know. It's going to be kind of scary and uncomfortable, but it's so much better to actually just do it, because you're going to learn so much by actually doing rather than trying to sit and have it all planned out, right? So it's going to be planned for you, but you're actually going to do it, and it's going to be so much more rewarding in the way of the process than actually the outcome, which is kind of cool. So we talked about, what it felt like when we talked about our business and how people reacted and how it felt to us, which is super cool. So let's talk about tonight. What are we going to do tonight? So tonight we're going to talk about when the best time to start your mompreneurial journey is, how you think of yourself, the success mindset and what it can do for your journey in creating your business, how operating from a place of abundance will always keep you moving forward. So we're gonna talk a lot about abundance mindset and what your business and your head have in common. So can somebody, or you guys give me a yes in the chat box if you feel like the mind is like the biggest piece, right now, especially as we're getting closer and closer to like the end of this training. You think about it becoming real, and all of a sudden you get these like thoughts in your head of the what if, and oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, and I'm scared, and it's money and it's investment, and you're like all of these thoughts. It's like a freaking like hamster running on a wheel. yes, and like some of those thoughts are like exciting, I'm gonna do this, like it's like, right, like I think of a hamster running in a wheel, like you're like, oh my god, I'm so excited, and then the next minute it's like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing, and the next minute it's like, I'm gonna do it, and the next minute is like, I'm not good enough, and the next minute it's, you know, it's like this, it's freaking like you're I don't know, it's like, plus we're women, right, like that doesn't really help, like we're probably like hormonal and whatever, and so it's just so crazy, right? So that's really what we're going to delve into tonight, because I think that's what sets the people who are successful from the people who sit and just want to do it, right? So it's like the people who just keep sitting and like thinking about it, and they allow their mind to stop them. Those are the people who, you know, just quit once they start, or they never actually do it. So that's what really we're going to delve into tonight, because I think it's just a super important piece of kind of doing this. So let's go back to the big why. So we talked about the emotional, the lifestyle, the purpose. What is your purpose? So I think it's super important to have this somewhere that you see it all the time, right? So it doesn't matter if it's right, if it's the same as mine, if it's the same as everyone else's. It's got to be something that hits into your heart. So it's something that it's not about, it has to be something that means something to you. So it, you know, initially, we have to solve people's problems. Like part of the why has to be to help people, to solve people's problems, right? But sometimes that's not what's going to keep us going. Sometimes it has to be a little bit more personal for us as moms of why we're doing this. Why are we stepping out of our comfort zone? Why are we investing money? Why are we trying to do something that's hard, right? Why are we doing it? So for example, mine is this. So mine is to show my kids what a good life lived looks like. And I know that I can do that by being a mompreneur. So I fell in love with the lifestyle of this. I absolutely love what I do because it recharges me and it makes me kind of a better mom. But my job in doing this, in helping you do this, is to teach you and show you that work isn't negative, and it has to be the light that shines bright on our children, our business. And that's kind of, for me, what my why is for teaching all of you how to create a business that's successful, that allows you to fulfill whatever it is your why is. So I want you to really, really think about that this week, about your why and what it is that's going to keep you going when it gets hard. So yes, we all want money. Yes, we want more time. Yes, yes, yes. But what's that thing that's going to, that really at the end of the day, that's what you're going to hold on to, right? So I always tell you guys about the story of like me going to Sydney right now and telling her, oh, well, mommy doesn't run a business anymore because it got too hard. Mommy just quit. I can't do that. That's not an option for me. I don't care how hard it gets. Like, that's not an option for me. I'm way too invested at this point. She knows my business. I can't go to her and say, yeah, well, you know, that business mommy was trying to do, well, you know, it just got too hard, so mommy quit. That's just not an option. So like every time I think of that, I think of how am I going to get this done? How am I going to work around this hurdle or whatever it is, right? So I really want you guys to think about that as we go forward in this week. And I want you to think about what you want. Ultimately, you, not your husband, not your kids, not your mother, not your brother, just you. What do you want? So what lights you up? And when you think about your charge in the world, you think about what it is you have to offer. What is that? I want you to really, really be firm on what it is that you want to do, because it fulfills you and it lights you up. Okay, so that's super important. So let's talk about the big stuff and the small stuff. So I know we've gone over so much stuff in business already. And I know it's like, oh my God, like there's like 100 million things she's telling me to do, right? Like there's a million things. But I want to go over the big stuff and the small stuff, and hopefully this will like relieve a little bit of pressure. So the big stuff: consistency, trust, authenticity, the nuts and bolts, like the nuts and bolts, that's big stuff. Solutions to people's problems, and action. All of you right now can do all of those. All of you right now can do all 6 of those things. Yes, you all can do those. I know you can be consistent. You can have trust in the process. You can show up and be authentic. You could do the nuts and bolts, because I'm going to give you the nuts and bolts. You can solve people's problems. You have solutions. I know you do. And you can take massive action. You're here, so you're already taking action. What are the things that I don't really want you to sweat over right now? I don't want you to sweat over the numbers. selling. I don't even want you to think about selling. I don't want you to think about how many people like your page or how far behind you might be. I don't want you to think about that. I don't want you to think about the bells and whistles, about my website or someone else's website and the pop-up boxes and blah, blah, blah. That's garbage. I don't even want you to think about it because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter anyway. Your ego, right? This is hard. Putting yourself on the line, like pouring your heart and soul into something, putting it on your personal Facebook page. Like that's always a question, like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to tell my friends, like, because what if I don't make it? Like that's really scary, right? Put it away. You're doing something different. You're doing something that you want to do. And it's like time that we did that, right? And then questioning whether it's right, because you're going to spend so much time being like, oh my God, is this the right thing? I don't know. Should I do it? Should I do it? I don't know. But instead of questioning, just do it. Like that's always going to be my answer, is like, we don't know. Like sometimes we don't know. Like a lot of times I'll tell you yes or no, do this, do this. But instead of like questioning every single thing we do, I just want you to do it, right? I just want you to write. I just want you to create. I just want you to show up and be consistent. All of the other stuff falls into place. We'll get to the bells and whistles. We'll get to selling. We'll worry about numbers. But at the end of the day, the stuff on the left is what makes you successful, right? Oh, that's funny. The stuff on the left is what makes you successful in the online space. The stuff on the right is what you see, and you might think, oh my God, that person's crushing it. And they might not even have made a freaking dollar, right? They might have like 17 million followers or whatever, and they're not even doing any of this stuff, right? They're not showing up. They don't have any of the other, like the foundational pieces in their business. So hopefully that relieves a little bit for you, and you see that while there is a lot to do, that stuff on the left is super important. So let's talk about a Me Too business. So part of your homework was to talk about, was to look at 5 people that you really like admired and looked up to in the online space. And a lot of them were similar, which is, you know, obviously that's just how it works, right? So something I want you to think about is we don't want to create a Me Too business. And some of this at the beginning, you don't really know. So you just kind of put stuff out there, and maybe it's very similar, maybe it's not. I don't ever worry about it. So someone even asked me in the group, they're like, aren't you worried that like all these girls are gonna like make a business like yours? And I was like, absolutely not. And she's like, why? Like if they sound like you. And I'm like, absolutely they sound like me because they're my people, right? Of course, you're my people. Like you totally believe in what I believe in, right? That's kind of why we get along. But a Me Too business is something where you're like creating a business just like someone else. So the point of finding those 5 people was just to find them and find things about their businesses that you liked, not to be like them, right? So you can take things from people's businesses and make it your own. So anytime you think of something or you see something that you really like, just ask yourself, can I put my spin on that? How can I say that in my way? You know, we can all be saying the same thing, right? We could all write a blog about women lifting weights, and they would all be different because we all have a different voice, right? So never worry about it. And we'll talk about like copying and all of that stuff later down the road, but don't worry about it. And if you feel like your business is very similar to someone's, it's fine. You have your experiences, and remember we talked about it. That's what makes yours different. But just think about those people that you admired, and just think about how can you pivot? You know, what can you change? How can you do it a little bit different? And I just think it's important to know, because I just wanted to cover it because I think it's something that we get confused on. So inbound marketing is something that goes along with the Me Too business. And it's basically saying that what you put out brings people your way. So yes, we're gonna know your ideal client. We're gonna know your avatar. We're gonna know like everything there is to know about your client for when we're writing to them and when we're creating products and services. But there's something to be said about when you show up and you're real and you're authentic and you're drawing a line in the sand, you are going to attract people who get it, who get you and who like you, right? So remember we talked about if we put out watered out, you know, if we put out a watered down message, we're gonna get a watered down response. So when we draw lines in the sand and we know what we stand for, we know our voice, we know who we are essentially, which is kind of the first piece of creating a business, then we understand that. And then when we put out our message, we start to attract the ideal client. So yes, we're gonna know who we want to work with, but sometimes if we're not sure about our voice, we're not attracting the right people. I was telling Shelly on the phone today, and she's in my coaching club now, but we were talking about business stuff. And I was telling her at the beginning, when I started my business, I really didn't know this, and I didn't really know my ideal client. I was kind of sure, I said like what I wanted to do, but when it came down to like who I wanted to work with, I didn't really think of it like that. And I didn't understand what I was doing. And I was attracting people who weren't my people. Nothing wrong with them, but I just wasn't their girl. Like, for example, I was like putting some like crock pot recipes and stuff on my site, which is totally not me. You guys are probably laughing if you hear that now. And I was attracting like these like crafty, like stay-at-home moms who were like tight on a budget. And like, we really had like nothing in common other than we were both moms. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, these are not the people who I want to attract, right? So it was a big shift, a big aha in my business going, wait a minute, like what's going on here, right? So, and I really had to dig deep and think about like, what the hell am I putting out there and what am I attracting? Not that it's bad, but it just wasn't, those weren't my people. My people now, like those are my people. Like, you guys are my people. You get me, you know me, like we're in line. But before, when I first started, I was like, I don't even, what's going on? So just know that yes, we're going to know all about the customer, but part of inbound marketing and part of attracting who you want to work with is actually being authentic and showing up. So let's talk about getting your biz mind right. So 5 of the biggest mindset shifts that I want to talk about as we talk about the when in creating your business. So the first one is obviously the comparison trap. So we know comparison is the thief of joy. We know that how many times, I'm sure we've already said, like, we need to be this, we need to be blah, 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 right? Like, so we're just comparing, and you can't compare your first year of business, your first month of business to someone else's fourth, right? It's not fair to you. It's not fair to your business. It's not fair to the process. And so action is process. Action is how you get out of this comparison trap, because you're actually doing. And when you're doing, you don't really have time to sit around and like worry about what everybody else is doing, right? So part of like cutting from, consumer to creator is you kind of get yourself out of the comparison trap. You stop reading everybody else's emails and going in everybody else's challenges, and you start making your own, right? Like, why couldn't you make your own challenge, right? Of course you could. You absolutely could. And part of this, a part of the comparison trap, or getting out of the comparison trap, is having a lot of gratitude for what's happened, right? So there will be times when you're like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. But when we have gratitude for where we've come, right? So we were just talking about that in this month in Business Beyond Baby, is like, wow, like, look how freaking far we've come, right? So all of a sudden, like, that comparison kind of goes away. But the main way to get out of this comparison trap is blinders on, head down, do you. Do what I'm telling you to do, and stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, because it honestly doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. There's always going to be someone more successful, richer, blah, 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 right? We know that, but we easily get stuck in this whole like comparison. So fearfulness and fearlessness. So what is the difference here? So people who fear the outcome versus what the outcome means, right? So it can absolutely paralyze us if we are full of fear. So if we are so worried about what could happen or what might happen, then we are absolutely paralyzed. We just don't move forward. I always say yes, you can be scared. Absolutely, you can be scared. But there's kind of something fun about being scared, about like the little butterflies in our stomach. So instead of worrying about what's going to happen, detach to how it occurs. So we all have an outcome that we want to achieve. I want you to detach yourself to how it occurs. Everybody's business is going to look different, and it's not going to be a straight line. You guys have seen like the whole meme where it's like success is what we think success is and what success really is. It's like the scribbles all over the place. So being fearless doesn't mean you're not scared. So I don't want you to get the impression that fearless means like, oh, I'm not scared at all, I'm just going to run with it, I'm going to be amazing. Like, there's something to be said about being like that, but you can totally be scared. It just means that you jump anyway. It means that you're going to do it anyway. So fearless is scared with action. Fearful is scared with inaction. Do we see the difference and how that relates to your business? So fear of failure versus fear of success. How many of you guys have one of these? Fear of failure or fear of success? Comment in the chat box. Do you have one of these? You know already you have one of these. Fear of failing or fear of kind of making it. Like what would happen, right? Like what would actually happen if it was successful? Does that seem like a little bit scary? Anyone have any of either of these? Just give me a yes. And tell me which one is more prevalent at this point. Failure, both, okay? Yep. I love it, I love it. Failure. Okay. So let's talk about it. So fear of failure is basically people very similar to myself. So I kind of want you to have both, actually. I kind of want you to have a fear of both. Okay, so fear of failure is like the perfectionist mentality, right? So instead of, because we're controlling, right? And so we want it to be perfect. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to be perfect. Like, it's just not. So like, just drop that whole idea that it's going to be perfect, because it's absolutely not. Instead of seeing a struggle as a failure, I want you guys to lean into the struggle. What do I mean by that? I want you to see the struggle as a way to learn, right? You are going to fail. Absolutely, you're going to fail. In this business, you will fail. More times than I can probably tell you. It's all about how you see the failure. Every time I failed, and I don't really can see it a failure, I see it as like a setback, a learning curve, but every time I would, I put it in air quotes, failed, I have gotten back up stronger. My launches have gotten better. My products have gotten better. I have gotten more people every single time I quote unquote failed, because I leaned into the struggle. So instead of saying there's two different ways to fail, you can fail, air quotes, right? And say, fuck it, I suck. Or you can fail and say, what's next? What can I do differently? How can I change it? How can I make it better? That person is who's going to be successful. The first person is they might as well just be like, done, right? So it's how you lean into the struggle. How do you do it? You make more decisions. Every time you quote unquote fail, I want you to ask, what's next? What can I do differently? How can I change it? How can I be better? What didn't I do good enough? How can I blah, 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 right? Make more decisions. If we fail and we're like, oh my God, like blah, 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 and it's like total victim mode, that's a whole different kind of failure. Yes, are we with me? Then we have the fear of success. Oh my God, like I just took on a big responsibility. The stakes are higher, right? I have to continue to do this, right? Once you hire a business coach and you say you're going to do it, hello, you're not getting out. Not for 10 months. I'm not letting you off the hook. You're doing it. All of these girls are counting on you. Your family's counting on you. Now, all of a sudden, your stakes are taken to a high level. It's no longer, oh, I think I'm going to create a business. Wow, being in a business would be a really cool idea. This is, I'm doing it. And I'm doing it is like, holy crap. That's a little bit different. But how cool is that too, right? On the other end. So, and then the other piece of that is, oh my gosh, I'm going to get found out, right? So people always worry like, if you become successful and you're actually doing it, you're going to get found out. Like people are going to find out. Like, I don't even really know what it means, but we feel that way, right? Like we get all worried. So these are two huge, huge mindset blocks, but they can be overcome. Fear of success is normal. And I actually think it's kind of a cool feeling to feel like, kind of like you're going to be a success. We're going to talk about the as-if principle in just a second, but that's kind of normal. The fear of failure, it can work for you or it cannot work for you. It's all about how you see it and how you want to let it work for you in your business. All right. So not good enough. Yeah. How many of us are like, okay, I'm not good enough. Like I don't have enough certifications. I don't have enough of this. I don't have enough of this, blah, blah, blah. Right. I was talking to Shelly actually again today, and we were talking about like certifications. And I was like, in almost 4 years of business, I have been asked one time what my certifications were. One time, okay? No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. I can promise you if you don't feel good enough, no one else will either, right? It's all about that confidence and conviction and what you truly believe. If you think you're not good enough, then how am I supposed to think that? How is your next client, right? So if we can continue to think that we're not good enough, then no one else is going to either. So this is normal, especially when you're starting out, right? We're all worried that like we don't have enough and blah, blah, blah. I want you to just remember this quote by Neil Gaiman is the one thing that you have is you, your voice, your story, your mind, your vision. So you make your business around that and you will not fail. 100% you will not fail. So if you keep that in your mind and you understand and remember that it is your job to share what you know, to share your experiences and to help people through that, you will never feel not good enough. Because if you go in this business to help one person, to help yourself, to fulfill yourself, you will never feel not good enough because you will always be good enough, right? So I know it's normal to feel this way, but remember that you have kind of an obligation, and we talked about this, is how we see it. You have an obligation that if you know something that can help someone, you kind of have an obligation to share it and sell it and make a business out of it, right? That's how I think of it, and that's how I want you to think of it. So not good enough, total normal feeling, but yeah. So, okay, scarcity and abundance mindset. So this is huge for us as we take on this task of creating a business, right? So most people that we know in our lives operate from a scarcity mindset. We're worried that we can't afford to do it. We're reluctant. We want to have all the answers, but we don't. We need to make sure it looks good, like everything, right? Like how many people do we know? Like they're very nervous that, you know, it's going to run out, right? Like things are scarce, right? That money is like my mom is like total scarcity mindset. Like I swear she's going to pee in like a gold bedpan because she's like, she operates from a place of scarcity on everything, on time, on money, on resources. Everything is like this worry and this stress about it, right? They're scared. People that operate from a scarcity mindset are scared to like share their information. Like people are like nervous for me to teach you how to run a business because they're nervous that you might steal my stuff. I operate from a place of abundancy, and that's where you're going to operate for the next 10 months is abundance mindset. I'm going to keep reminding you of this, remember? So there's more than enough people to go around to make online businesses. There's more than enough people in the world for all of us to be successful. So if I succeed, then you succeed, and then we all succeed, right? So instead of I can't afford to do blank, it's like I can afford, how can I not afford it, right? Like I always want people to end whatever it is with me, you know, a free challenge or whatever, saying, how can I not afford to like continue on and continue doing blank, 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 right? So collaborating, sharing, all that stuff, willing to learn from others, that's a place of abundance mindset. So I always have my girls go into their first launch, because the first launch is scary and all of the above, into I don't need the sale. Because truthfully, you don't need the sale. You're fine right now how you are. You don't need the sale. So I always have them going in with that, with what's the worst that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is no one signs up. Will you be okay? Absolutely, you're going to be okay. Because we're just going to change it and make it better, right? So a lot of this is knowing your worth and actually believing your worth. There's always enough to go around. Another thing from operating abundance mindset is people want the best, not the cheapest. So a lot of times we want to offer our stuff for, you know, $10 or like free, or I'm going to give them all of this stuff and I'm only going to charge like $99. And we operate, that's a scarcity mindset, because A, we don't know our worth, and B, we just want to make sure that like we just give them everything because we're so scared that they might not sign up or they might not do it. And I operate from a place of abundancy that people want the best, not the cheapest. I'm not going to give people the cheapest because there's something to be said about that too, right? So it's all about how we operate as far as scarcity and abundancy. I'm sure you know people that operate from both systems, and you can totally like be a mix as well, but most people in our lives operate from a place of scarcity. And when you start to see people through this, you can really see how their lives are dictated by this mindset. So when you were creating a business, and in Business Beyond Baby, we operate from a place of abundance mindset. So we share, we collaborate, we learn from others, and we have openness and trust in the process. Because again, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen, right? When you start your business, the worst possible thing is it goes nowhere. Would you be okay? Absolutely, right? Absolutely, you would be totally fine. If that's not going to happen, but you would be okay, right? So just take like a snapshot of this, go back to it. I want you to really think on that this week, as we go through the week with our homework and stuff, as far as like where are you operating at this point and how can you get over to that abundance mindset, and where in your life do you feel like you're, hovering in that scarcity? So we talked about the as if principle. We talked about acting as if it's happening before it's actually happening. So we talked about the be do have in my coaching club. We talked about a little bit 2 weeks ago. You have to be it before you can have it. So what are you doing right now that's being a successful mompreneur before you actually are? Right? We're in this training. We're not successful mompreneurs yet. What are you doing right now that's training yourself to be it? So how are you showing up and acting as if, right? So building a business is all about, in your first year, is acting as if it's already happening, being it before you have it. So what are you doing right now that's kind of being it and that's acting as if? One thing in the chat box that you're doing right now that is showing yourself that you are already successful. Remember, I told you guys about my first year. Everyone was like, oh my God, you're running a business. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm crushing it. Like, I would tell people I was just killing it, and I wasn't. But I was acting as if. I was totally believing it and acting as if it was happening. I would show up every day at my laptop, and even if I didn't even know what I was doing, I would do something. That's being a successful mompreneur long before I actually was, right? So what's one thing you guys are doing that's acting as if you are a successful mompreneur? Yes, bought your GoDaddy domain. Woo, love it. Latoya, I don't know. Getting dressed. Woohoo! Well, yeah, because yours is all about that. Being here live, yes. Consistent with my Facebook posts, awesome. One thing that I would recommend to you guys to do is to get to your computer. Good, talking to friends, business, awesome, bought your domain. You're awesome, Candy. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Thinking about content, doing mock coaching, cool. So one of the things that I would like all of you to do is to carve out 10 minutes of your day right now. Like, why not, right? You're doing it. And just sit down at your computer or with a pad of paper or however you work best, and just start to write. I just want you to write something on someone's struggle, or write what's on your mind. I just want you to get in the habit of sitting and writing. It can be a brain dump. It can be listing your struggles. It can be writing a solution to someone's struggles. It can be something you saw or a conversation you had with someone. What would you say to that? I just want you to practice that. Just 10 minutes a day, acting as if, right? So not waiting. You've got to act and believe like it's already happening, because it is, but we have to act and believe that first, right? So nothing can happen. It's not going to happen if we don't believe it. We can't wait for other people to believe it. We actually have to believe it first. So it's a huge concept in pretty much everything in life. But if in being an entrepreneurial, it's definitely something that separates those people from doing it, right? From showing up consistent, like we talked about, being authentic, all of those things. Be, do, have, as if principle. All right. So one of my favorite quotes by Gary Vee is, if you want to do something for the rest of your life, you don't give up after 4 months. How freaking true is this, right? I mean, pretty much in everything, right? So we see people all the time who are like, I'm going to start working out, and then, they've quit within whatever. But this is something that I'll be reminding you of a lot, because it does get hard, guys. I don't want you to think that you decide you want to create this business and it's all freaking like rainbows and unicorns, because it's not. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it is, but it's so fun. Like I don't even know how to describe it. It's so fun. And there'll be days when you're like, I don't know that I'm made up for this and blah, blah, blah. And I honestly want you coming in, believing in yourself. Like, of course, you're going to have days where you don't, but I really want the people coming in who believe it. I don't want to spend 3 months doing all of this mindset stuff. I want to be hitting the ground running and actually doing. I want to spend 10 months doing. I don't want to spend 10 months coaching you and telling you you're good enough, because we know we're good enough. We know we have what it takes. Now it's time to do, right? So now it's time to do and stop worrying about all that other stuff. Yes, it's all going to come up. Yes, we're going to have a million trainings on it. I'm going to continue to remind you, but I really don't want to spend 10 months telling you that you're good enough to write a blog. I want you to already know that shit, right? I want you to know that, because I don't want you to think about, oh my God, is this for me and blah, blah, blah. I want you to just know. Like, I'm just going to say that. I just want you to know. So when is the best time to start a business? What do we think? What's the answer for this question? What is the answer to this question? When is the best time to start a business? I'm going to give you a quote, and it says, it's another Gary Vee quote, and it says, there is never a bad time to start a business unless you want to start a mediocre one. How good is that? I love that. I freaking love that, because so many times we wait, like, I don't know, blah, 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 and like, literally like 2 and 3 years have gone past and we're still like sitting around wondering, right? So yeah, the best time is now. There is no right time, but I think the best time is now. But you have to be ready too. Like, I think there's something to be said about you being ready. And I can tell, you know, from the phone calls I've had, like, I know who's ready and who's not. So, and that's, I can't make you ready, right? You have to kind of be ready. Like I said, I don't want you to come in like not knowing if you're ready. I want you to be ready. Like, you're ready to like freaking make this thing happen. So, and of course we have to bring the kids in, because that's how I roll. You don't get scrapes unless you decide to jump or climb. So, like we talked about fear of failure, like you don't need to fear failure, because it's going to happen. Like, you are going to fall down. You're gonna be like, oh my God, this is so hard and blah, blah, blah. But you don't get to feel that way unless you do it. You don't get to, like, we sit here like, we're like scared of failure and success, but we haven't done it yet, right? Like, look at all of us. We're like in this hamster wheel. Like, we talked about, like, all these freaking emotions. We haven't done it yet. So we don't get to have all those feelings unless we do it. So unless you're this little girl and you're like jumping and you're gonna do it, then you can feel failure. Then you can fear success. Then you can fear all these other things, because you're doing it. Because you're doing it, you're allowed to feel that stuff. But like, just sitting there and like having all those feelings, like, that doesn't really let us, to me, that's not good enough to have all those feelings. Does that make sense? So it's kind of tough love, but like when you're actually doing it, then you're taking action, and there's something to be said about that, right? So yes, it's just like having a kid, just jump. Absolutely. So questions for me, again, I'm going to tell you to get on the phone with me. I think I've talked to almost everyone that's on this call at this point. So what's happening is the application's open on the 9th, but I believe that it's going to fill pretty quick. And that's the problem. I mean, it's a good problem, but it's a problem. So if you absolutely know that you want a spot, then you need to get on the phone with me, because I'm probably going to give those people priority on an application. So I don't want to, I have literally, like, we have all the women in the What to Expect group. You guys are getting first dibs, but then I have about 500 other people on a wait list who aren't even in this training. So yeah, that's a lot of people. And so I need to open it to everyone. So that's why I'm saying, if you haven't gotten on the phone, you probably should. It's not mandatory at all. You can absolutely still submit an application if it's good. Like, I'm going to read all of them, but just know that. So I don't even know how many spots I have left on the calendar, but I will definitely look. So questions for me on the mindset stuff. Was this helpful? Did it resonate? Give me some feedback in the chat box. Your homework, let's go over your homework. The first thing, you are going to sit down. One of the things that you're going to sit down and write is you are going to write 5 solutions to people's problems that you know. So you're going to sit and write 5 solutions to your problems or someone else's problems, your ideal client's problems. Some of you have already started this, but instead of just writing one word, I want you to actually write like a paragraph or 2 paragraphs about the solution. So kind of turn it into an email or a blog or whatever you think it might be. You don't have to know any of that yet. But as you brain dump, I want you to write 5 kind of solution things for people. And then the other thing I want you to do is I want you to think about that as if principle, think about the beads you have, and I want you to set aside 10 minutes every single day for this week to get up, or whenever your creative time is. Maybe you don't even know when your creative time is. Like maybe you need to think about that, and set 10 minutes to think about your business, write on your business, whatever it is. I want you to work on your business, like it's your business, right? You have a business for 10 minutes every day. And I just want you to feel that out and see what that feels like. It can be writing, it can be thinking, it can be brain dumping. 10 minutes every day. And I want you to check into the Facebook group when you've done that. So after you've done your 10 minutes, I just want you to check in, like, worked on my business, like as if, like I'm doing it, right? You're already acting as if, okay? Cool, okay, good. I'm so glad it's helpful. Candy, how are you? Are you recovering? All of that. Give me a little rundown. I haven't seen the Facebook page. Okay, good, super helpful. Set up for next week. No, we're not talking about spray butter, no. Carly's question about the application process. We all apply within a certain window and then find out after the window is closed who has been accepted. Yes. So you'll all apply within, yes, a certain window, and then those selected will be notified a very special way. It's kind of secret. But yes, those accepted will be notified after the weekend, after I have time to read all of the stuff and whatever, sort my stuff. But everyone will know by the 21st. So the last day for apps will be your 19th. The 19th will be the last day for apps, and then, no, the 18th will be the last day for apps, and then you'll know by the 21st. So it's a super quick turnaround. Interested to know from last week what my 5 quirks are. I think I know a few. Okay, well, what are they? You tell me, what are my quirks? See if I've done a good job highlighting them. Okay, good. Good to know, good to know. Okay, my 5 quirks, let's go. This is a fun little game. What are they? Come on, don't be shy. I cuss, I don't cook, you're right. And cussing is something that kind of I just decided to bring into my business because it's me. For a long time, I wouldn't do it because I was worried about my mother-in-law and blah, blah, blah. But I decided to bring it into my business, and it's kind of fun because it's really, really my personality, and it has really attracted people who just get me. And I think it's great. I've had people who are like, this is so wrong, I can't follow you anymore, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's totally fine. Like, I don't think cussing needs to be like a cornerstone of your business, but I do think that if it's something that you feel okay with, throwing the F word around every once in a while is not like a bad thing, right? So, okay, so lift heavy shit, straightforward, absolutely. Working out, 100%. I don't clean, I don't cook. We're good, yeah. And I'm anti-domestic, I'm a perfectionist, a type A, absolutely. A little bit on the tough love side, yep, you're good. So I love coffee. I don't drink a ton of it, but I do. I was, yes, a definite obsessive dieter. I do work out very intensely by choice. I just love it. I run, I'm a runner. And yeah, the whole anti-domestic, I do cuss. Yeah, I don't clean. I love my kids. My husband's kind of whatever. He's a hunter and stuff. I hike a lot. I love to hike. Love the outdoors, sunsets. So yeah, you guys know them. You're good. Applications actually open on November 9th, Latoria, and because we had a phone call, you'll probably get an email to get them earlier. So applications open the 9th, and then they close. So what will happen is we'll open the 9th. You'll have until the 13th to get in if you want the 20%. Then from the 13th till the 18th, I will accept them, but it will be at the regular price. And then everyone will know on the 21st. Nothing is withdrawn until January. So you don't have to worry about all of that stuff. You just have to fill out the application and the contract to get it in. I just want you to know that you're in so you can enjoy your holidays, because we all know what happens, right? I mean, once Thanksgiving comes, like, we don't even know what's going on between the parties and the kids and traveling and all of that. I don't really want you to worry about it. I just want you to know what's happening come January. So applications are in, they're closed, they're done. And then come January, you start. I'll give all the girls accepted some bonus material for December. If you want to start kind of doing some stuff, you totally can. Hopefully that helps. Okay, good. So homework, everyone knows your homework. You have, as if principal, 10 minutes every single day working on your business. I don't care what it is, but I want it to happen every single day, 10 minutes at least. And then 5 solutions, and that can be part of that, the first homework, 5 solutions to problems, your client's problems, anyone's. What are 5 solutions you have that you can offer? How can you put your spin on it? Okay, are we good? Good, good. Any other questions for me? Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. Hopefully it was helpful and kind of gave you, like, I guess kind of validated your feelings. That's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to validate how you're feeling is real and let you know that all the stuff you're feeling is absolutely real and normal and you're human. But that should not stop you from doing it and letting you see that, yes, it can. All of those things we talked about, those mindset shifts, can absolutely stop you from actually doing it, which is freaking scary, right? It's scary that our mind that really is just telling us we're not good enough can stop us from doing something that we actually want to do with our life. To me, that's scary. So the same way your mind can tell you that you're fat and gross and that you're a loser, right? Because you wear a certain size pants. It's the same thing, but you know, we're talking about business here. So you are so welcome. Thank you for being on. So I guess that's it, guys. No other questions. If anything pops up, hop in the Facebook group. I'll post the replay in there. You'll also get the replay via email. Yeah, and let's just continue to chat this week in the Facebook group. And that's it. I will see you all next week for our very last session. All right, have a good night, everybody.